Last season, 17% of flagrant fouls were against Clark. 17%. I mean, there's how many players? And 17% are all against Clark.
Last season, the WNBA logged 41 flagrant fouls. 7 of them 17% mashed into the same rookie, Caitlain Clark. An announcer finally blurted the number during Fever Wings, and the clip ricocheted across social media because it sounded too lopsided to be real. In an ordinary league, that stat would trigger extra officials, tech fouls, maybe a rule tweak. Instead, the whistle stayed dialed down and Clark's bruises kept piling up. Slow-motion replays show why fans howl. One night, it's a hip check that sends her sprawling into baseline signage.
I was starstruck. Caitlain Clark was at my show in Indiana, and for some reason, I was like, every once in a while, somebody gets me that I didn't think was going to make.
Another night, a forearm shiver catches her square in the ribs before the ball even arrives. None of that stops her from popping up and drilling a logo 3. But every time she does, highlight feeds, split screen, the bucket with the body blow. And the cycle begins again. Heap shot, viral outrage, bigger audience. Even late-night TV took notice. Jimmy Fallon broke character, mid-monologue, no jokes, just panic. What is going on? Protect Caitlain Clark at all costs. Please, enough of this.
It's about her teammates' split-second decision, which made her an overnight sensation.
When a comedian famous for lip-sync routines starts pleading for player safety, you know something's off. Dr. Phil was harsher. On his syndicated show, he rolled an eye poke montage and declared, "These aren't accidents. This is jealousy disguised as defense shoving, blindsiding, sticking fingers in eyes."
Let's look at some headlines. Caitlain Clark's bodyguard, Sophie Cunningham, reaches big milestone.
He's not a referee, but the footage did its own testimony. 5 angles, 0 whistles. One superstar adjusting her ponytail and jogging to the other. End dot. So the paradox grows. The more contact Clark absorbs, the louder the league's cash register rings and the quieter the official whistles get. That silence won't last forever, because corporate sponsors hate slow-motion cheap shots. If refs remain passive, advertisers might start making the calls. But while elbows fly on the hardwood, the metrics off it are exploding. During the 2024 regular season, ESPN aired 24 WNBA telecasts that crossed the magic 1 million viewer line. 21 of them included Caitlain Clark and the Indiana Fever. Those broadcasts weren't casual bumps. They were top 16, top 10 all-time highs, rewriting the network's women's sports record book in a single summer. Economists now label the resulting windfall Clarkonomics. Forbes estimates her presence alone boosted the Fever's valuation to $370 million, second highest in the league, and pushed the entire WNBA past an $875 million floor on franchise worth.
That was in Men's Journal. Sophie Cunningham proudly defends protecting the star player of the WNBA.
Nike, Wilson, and Gatorade ringed Indianapolis with her face All-Star Weekend, splashing sold-out banners over jersey kiosks before gates even opened. Then came the injury on the 24th of May, 2025. Clark missed 5 national TV dates. Nielsen numbers fell off a cliff, down 55% league-wide, 53% on Fever games. The dip wasn't a wobble, it was a void. Programmers who insisted the sports rise was inevitable suddenly rewrote rundowns, and USA Basketball quietly asked whether cutting her from Paris had been fiscally reckless. Ticket brokers felt the contraction instantly. In markets, she skipped. Lower bowl get-ins plunged from $125 to single digits. Meanwhile, the team store in Indianapolis was audited because inventory turnover hit numbers auditors thought impossible for women's sports. The lesson crystallized fast. Clark doesn't ride the wave, she is the wave. Remove the mass, and gravity disappears. Celebrities sensed that pull firsthand, sometimes in embarrassing fashion. Shane Gillis roasts U.S. presidents for a living, yet when Clark slipped into his Indiana comedy set, he froze mid-sentence, whispered "Holy wow," and admitted afterward he'd never been so rattled by an audience member. Viral phone footage shows the crowd cheering, the comic's meltdown harder than the joke that followed. David Letterman went the opposite direction. He devoted an entire episode of his Netflix series. My next guest needs no introduction to Clark's obsessive competitiveness, probing how a 23-year-old maintains tunnel vision while a billion-dollar industry forms around her name. Letterman has interviewed Beyoncé, Obama, Malala. His guest list contains zero filler. Clark's slot served as a cultural stamp. She matters beyond sport. The NFL royalty fell next. Travis Kelce gushed that she spent half an Arrowhead suite talking to his mom, so welcoming, so warm, we're fans for life. Patrick Mahomes, forever unbothered by blitzes, laughed during Super Bowl Media Day. Hope I never guard her one-on-one. She'd drop buckets on me. Different arenas, same conclusion. When Clark shows up, alpha performers suddenly become spectators, stealing selfies like tourists in their own venues. Yet, even as MVPs swoon, some insiders sharpen their knives. 2 weeks ago, a confidential players poll ranked Clark the 9th best guard in the WNBA studio. Host Emmanuel Akko called the vote delusion or jealousy, pointing out that no one blitzes the 9th guard at half court or sends 2 defenders before she crosses the timeline. The tape backs him. Opponents face guard her the length of the floor, trap every pick, and foul like she's prime Jordan Hardley, a 9th-ranked routine. ESPN analyst Caroline Peck stirred a separate hornet's nest by claiming on air that Indiana looked even more dangerous when Caitlain Clark doesn't play because the ball sticks in her hands. The metrics since Clark's assists climbed to 8.4 per game, turnovers slid under 4, and the Fever's offensive rating ballooned 8 points in the possessions she does orchestrate. She adjusted critics? Not so much. Veteran columnist Christine Brennan framed the pushback in bigger terms. 21 of 24 million plus broadcasts involved. Clark, it is undeniable she's the most important thing ever to happen to women's basketball. So when that same selection committee left the sport's largest draw off the Paris Olympic roster, Brennan called it historic malpractice in her new book on her game, a phrase already rattling USA basketball boardrooms. Jealousy, economics, both, maybe. Either way, the harder peers try to downplay her, the more glaring the gap becomes. And when identity enters the chat, the volume only spikes. Entrepreneur Patrick Bet-David detonated a viral soundbite on his PBD podcast. Caitlain Clark could be the Jackie Robinson of the WNBA because she's crossing barriers the league never breached. He wasn't talking about skin color. He was talking about market reach, millions of new eyeballs, many in regions that barely knew the league existed. Comic Akash Singh added a blunter angle. Let's be real, some Midwest fans love seeing a white girl bust day on the court, before noting that media inflated Angel Reese's story to craft a race-coded rivalry that sells clicks. His co-hosts winced, but the clip racked 1 million views in a day. Because it named the elephant, everyone keeps tiptoeing around who gets championed, who gets taxed with scrutiny, and how those choices print money. Clark doesn't participate. In that framing, she never mentions race, never feeds beefs. She shakes hands, signs jerseys, answers every question. Yet her very existence forces America to debate the lenses it prefers when a young woman detonates record books. The debate is messy, but the audience spike proves curiosity is even messier. Messier still, the way all that tension manifests as full-body collisions. Jimmy Fallon's plea wasn't comedy. It was concern, please not protect her, he said, eyes widening like a parent in the bleachers. A week later, Dr. Phil aired a highlight reel of pokes, shoves, and hip checks, calling the pattern jealous aggression that has nothing to do with basketball. Midwest radio stations replayed his rant on loop. Hashtag Protect22 trended above MLB scores. Why so many non-basketball voices? Because the fouls have become cultural Rorschach tests. To some, they're proof the league is toughening up. To others, their symbolic gatekeeping earned it the hard way. Rookie, meanwhile, fans who paid triple-digit resale prices just want to see logo threes, not rugby. SCRUMS. Clark herself fuels the dichotomy. She never retaliates, never complains publicly. She ties the ponytail, wipes the elbow print off her arm, and buries another. Broadcasters marvel, sponsors smile, and defenders fume that nothing rattles her. Violence meant to intimidate instead highlights her calm, converting skeptics into sympathizers. Rumor says league executives quietly floated, adding a clear path style rule to discourage blindside hits on shooters who've already given up the ball in unofficial Clark clause, whether it passes or not. The fact it's discussed tells you who dictates the agenda, and dictating agendas is her specialty, because her game keeps evolving faster than the scouting reports. Early May scouting reports screamed turnover prone. By mid-June, Clark trimmed giveaways 15% and pushed her assist rate to a league-leading 8.4. NBA-style hedges used to stall her. She started firing cross-court skips before the trap arrived, leaving rotating defenders 2 steps behind. Her per-game line now sits at 2.485 production the W has never seen from a rookie point guard. Outkick analyst Dan Dakich, no stranger to criticism, conceded on air that her range has forced coaches to draw up men's-style coverages the league never needed before she's Steph Curry with. Defenses pick her up at the logo, yet she still rattles in threes from college court hash marks, warping spacing for teammates who now feast on backdoor cuts. Christine Brennan calls the mental side more startling than the numbers. She's 23 going on 50, poise, humor, maturity under a microscope most veterans never face. Reporters throw hot-button questions. She parries with candor and a grin, diffusing controversies before they ignite. Every upgrade she makes triggers copycats. High school gyms tape neon stickers 5 feet behind the arc so kids can practice Clark range. College coaches recruit combo guards who can sling one-hand lasers off the dribble. The sport is mutating in real time, and its catalyst wears no 2 if today looks disruptive. Imagine the ripple effects when trophies start piling up. Mathematicians inside the league office already simulate scenarios in which Clark becomes the first player ever, rookie or veteran, to lead the WNBA in both scoring and assists. The model says she has a 38% chance this year, 53% next year once her turnover curve flattens. Forbes' new franchise valuations show why owners refuse to underestimate those odds. Indiana, a mid-market team, leaped from the WNBA's lower third to the revenue crown at $32 million, thanks largely to Clark. Add that to the league-wide sponsorship haul, and business analysts now peg the Clark effect just shy of $1 billion swing. Players know it. At All-Star Weekend, Clark joined veterans lobbying for a revamped CBA. Fair pay is long past due, she told reporters, eyes flicking to Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. Negotiators on both sides admit the next contract will be benchmarked against her draw, meaning one athlete could reset economic baselines for hundreds. USA Basketball has already telegraphed the obvious. Leaving her off Paris was penny-wise, pound-foolish. Los Angeles 2028 might revolve around her brand the way Barcelona revolved around Jordan. Networks are preparing for your hype cycles accordingly, so what's next? Maybe the first WNBA Finals to outrate an NBA conference game. Maybe an expansion draft where investors bid like it's Silicon Valley. Or maybe something subtler. A generation of kids, ponytails bouncing, chanting logo, before launching from 35 feet because that's where their hero lives. Clark never asked to be the center of gravity. She simply kept hitting shots until physics rearranged, and physics doesn't argue. It obeys. The rest of the sport now orbits the mass in the middle, one poised, relentless point guard rewriting limits in real time.